I'll just wait for a few people to get on. This is kind of a thing we're doing for the month of June. Is around this time, I'm going to be making short little live videos in regards to getting through the entire Bible in 30 days. So, who is this for? Who is this for? This is for people that are interested in going through the Bible a little bit faster than normal. We're not talking about skimming the Bible. We're not talking about anything like that. We're talking about spending more time. And I think sometimes people have a misconception that if you read the Bible faster, like in its entirety faster, like in 30 days, it means you're skimming. In fact, it's actually the opposite of what happens. You actually end up spending more time in the Bible. I would argue that if you're only reading 10 minutes a day, you're actually skimming. You're actually skimming. Why do I say this? Because 10, 15 minutes a day will get you through the entire Bible, but chances are 365 days from now, you're not going to remember what you read in chapter 1 of Genesis. You're just not, like, especially if you do it front to back. You're not going to, your mind can't absorb everything that you've read over a period of a year. So this is why we do it in short little bursts. We overconsume the Bible in a shorter period of time, and then your comprehension actually picks up as well. You start picking up on things here and there. It sounds contraire to what most people will say. Most people will say, slow down, read one verse or one chapter, meditate on it for 15 minutes, a half an hour, whatever. They'll say things like this. And it's not wrong, but it's wrong when you're telling people to do it your way. As in, somebody wants to read the entire Bible in 30 days, and then you say, no, you should do it my way. And I don't think that's right. So what we're doing here is we're getting a group of people together that are interested in reading the Bible in 1 month, in 30 days. What does it take? It takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes a day to read through the Bible in 30 days. So 2 hours a day, 2 hours and 15 minutes a day times 30 will get you through the entire Bible. How do I know this? I've done it. I've done it myself. And what will happen from time to time is you're going to go through bursts of energy where you might be able to read for 3 hours or 4 hours. So the next day, don't cut back because you read 4 hours the day before. It's not the way it works. Stick with your 2-hour program. If you read less than 2 hours in a day, the next day, don't make it 3 hours. That's not how it works. You have a bank of 2 hours today to read. Once you've done your 2 hours, you are done. If you want to read more, that is okay. That's all right. If you read less, that bankment or that bank of 2 hours is gone forever. It's kind of like sleep. If you go days without sleep, you can't recoup that sleep by sleeping days on end. You can't sleep for 72 hours straight. You can argue your children do that sometimes when they're walking around like zombies, but it's almost, I would say it's actually impossible to sleep for more than like 20 hours. Like if you're sleeping for 20 hours or more, there's something wrong with you. Most people can get away with 6 to 10 hours of sleep per day. And then you wake up, your body just wakes you up and you're like, man, if I sleep anymore, I'm not going to feel very good. I feel sickish if I sleep too much. That's how I am. So if you stay awake for 3 days, you can't sleep for 3 days to make that up. It's gone. Same thing with reading. we're planning out our month of June. We're saying somewhere in 24 hours, we're going to spend 2 hours in the Word of God. It doesn't matter how much I read. We're spending that time. If you can't make it one day and it's like 30 minutes, don't make it 2 hours and 45 minutes or whatever the next day. Don't do that. Just these are our chunks that we're working with. If you follow as close to 2 hours as humanly possible over the next period of 30 days, doesn't matter how fast or slow you are, you're going to see light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to realize, oh man, another 5 days and I'm done the Bible. Another day, I'm done the Bible. Another few hours, I'm done the Bible. So that's the goal, is to get you so that you could see light at the end of the tunnel. All right, so I'm going to try and answer questions based on what we're doing in 30 days. So if you have any questions like, how do I do this, all this kind of stuff, this is the time to ask it. If you're asking some theological question, not the time to ask it. But if you ask questions like, what happens to comprehension? What happens, are we talking about speed reading? All this kind of stuff. Any of those questions are fine. Any of those questions are fine. So I'm just going to scroll through and see if I can see what people, and I honestly don't care. If you think this is crazy to do this, put that in a comment as well. If you don't agree with it, put that in a comment as well. All your feedback is actually appreciative, because maybe in a month or 2 months or 6 months down the road, I'll do something like this again, and then I'll be able to answer those questions the second time around. All right, so let's see who's on here. We have Freed, Marine, we have Dawn, we have Ready Now, Shalom working. So we'll rewind to watch for sure. My goal is to try and make these about 30 minutes. Keep my health in your prayers for sure, Keith. I heard you had problems with the Irish back in the day. What happened there with ye? I don't know. Let's see what else here. Some brilliant tips about having a good diet. That helps as well. Avoiding junk food. That slows you down. It just makes your mind foggy. Like I had some yogurt. I had some coconut yogurt this morning with some granola. What else did I have? I had something else. Oh, I had some toast. Depending on the bread, there are certain breads that slow you down as well. I think white bread probably isn't the best. It tastes the best, white bread, but there are better sources of bread. And even then, again, if you're worried about getting sluggish, I would stay away from bread. I would stay away from dairy. I would stay away from sugar foods, donuts, pastries, fast food, anything processed while you're going through this 30-day feasting on the Word of God. Because if you go to McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, or whatever, and then you're scheduling your reading time of a couple of hours in the afternoon, I'm like, good luck. It's not going to happen. I'm just being realistic. I'm your coach. I'm your mentor. I'm going to tell you, you're going to crash so hard after you have some greasy food. So don't do it. But what you should do is drink lots of water. This will help you get through those bouts where your mind gets full. And it's weird. When you read for long periods of time, it feels like your tank in your brain is filling up to the point where you're like, oh man, I don't think I could read anymore. I'm so full. And it's kind of a weird tired. It's almost like learning something new. You know, when you go to a construction site and you're learning about how to frame a house or whatever, day one, they're like, here's your tool belt, here's your hammer, here's all these tools. And you're looking at all the tools and you're like, I've never seen these before. The guy's like, no problem. Let's go over here. Here's your hammer, here's your saw, here's this, here's a screwdriver, here's a Phillips, a Robertson, Star, all kinds of, he just walks you through all the tools. And if you've never seen tools before, you're going to walk away like, oh man, oh, my head is so full, I need a nap. That's because you're learning something new. So when we're going through the Bible in periods of 2 hours, your brain is getting stretched. It's getting a workout because it has to put the word of God somewhere, and it stores it somewhere in your brain. And that gets full because it doesn't matter if you're listening to it, if you're reading it out loud, um, your brain absorbs everything and it gets full. It gets full. So how do you combat when you're behind a little bit and you're like, man, I'm just so tired? Don't fight it. As in, don't try and read when you're exhausted, because it doesn't get any better. It doesn't get easier. So what you need to do is you need to step away for a few minutes, even if it's 5, 10 minutes. Go outside, do a wind sprint or something. Just run for like 100 meters, 200 meters, whatever. Do that a couple times. If you're out in the woods somewhere, scream at the top of your lungs. Go in your vehicle, go for a quick drive, scream at the top of your lungs in your car. That'll wake you up. There's something about that. Don't do it in public. I'm telling you, don't do it in public because people will think you're crazy. And don't do it in your backyard, because I don't like it when my neighbors scream. But you got to do something. You got to get up. You got to walk around, move around, take some water, splash it on your face, have a cold shower, whatever it is. What I like to do as well, and this is kind of embarrassing. I'm going to be embarrassing for a minute. But I'm telling you, if you do this, let's see, how can I do this? This is going to be crazy. I don't know if I could do this right. Okay. So you see that chair there? This is where I take naps, right there on the floor. So I'm going to see if I can. This is embarrassing. I'm telling you, I'm embarrassed. But I'm telling you, if you do this, let me see if this will work. This is what I do. I'm telling you, this will work. You got to go like this. I know it's weird. You put your feet up like this. You just get a little cushion, like so, like this. Relax. Lie your head back. 10 minutes, maybe 15, out like a light, and you're going to be fresh as a daisy. I do that sometimes once a day. 10, 15 minutes, I'm telling you. You will feel like $1,000,000 and your head will clear up. And you go back to the Bible and you start reading again. So I know it's embarrassing, but I had to show you guys, because I've done this for like the nap thing for probably 30 plus years. When I used to do construction, I would be so exhausted. I'm like, man, I'm never going to make it through the day because you're learning so many things. And I was probably like 25 years old. And I'm like, this is horrible. So I would go outside to a picnic table, lie down on the ground, put my feet up. 10 minutes, I'm telling you, fresh as a daisy. The worst thing you can do is go to your bedroom with some blankets and go to sleep, because you will have a sleep. You might sleep for an hour or an hour and a half, but you're going to wake up sick. You're going to be like, oh, I feel hungover. I feel sickish. And you can't shake it, because it's not natural. It's natural to have more naps. That's actually more natural. So when you get really exhausted mentally, have a little cat nap. 10, 15 minutes, done. You can go the rest of the day. I'm telling you, this will work. This is gold right here. Okay, so what else do we have here? I'm from Cochrane, Alberta, Canada. Let's see here. Osho. Let's see. While reading, do I cross-reference also Shane? No, I don't use any cross-referencing, nothing. Just the Bible itself. Whatever version you're reading. I read the King James Bible. No commentary, no cross-references, no verses, no anything in there, because that will take you down bunny trails, and you don't want to do that. To eliminate bunny trails, what you need to do is you need to be able to write it down. Like if there's a word verse or something, just write it down on a notepad and then put it aside and keep reading. I'm telling you, this works. All right, let's see what else here. Shout out to the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. That's awesome. This channel, you're spot on. Yeah, and if you've done it before, if you've read the Bible in 30 days, please chime in and let me know if I am bang on, if I'm off, or if there's some tip that maybe I've missed as well, because I'm going through everything that I've done to get me through the Bible in 30 days. And I'll share the good, the bad, the highs, the lows, everything. Let's see. Let's see. Just seeing any comments in regards to what we're talking about here today. Nope, not watching NBA Finals. Let's see what else here. I'm just looking for people that have questions about how to get through the Bible in 30 days. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Victor. Let's see here. Have you ever had a study partner during one of your 30-day marathons? Have you noticed the difference between having a team and going solo? Yes. Sometimes having a team, they can't keep up. They can't keep up because it could actually deflate you if, let's just say, you tell someone where you're at and that's your partner, and then they didn't finish their reading the day before, and then you guys are trying to go through what your reading schedule is for today or tomorrow, and they're behind. Either you're going to get discouraged, or you'll want to slow down, or they'll get discouraged, or whatever, or just get discouraged. It rarely works where you get more motivated by the person that is just spanking you daily with reading. Like they're reading 2-3 times more than you. It could actually be discouraging. But for you guys on this channel, on this live feed, we're all in this together. So we're all coming at it from the point of view of what is he doing? What's she doing? What can I do to get through the Bible faster, as in 30 days? So remember, 15 minutes a day will get you through the entire Bible in 1 year. So what we're doing is we're increasing the time, and that shrinks down how many days it takes to read the Bible. And I think this is common sense. If it takes me 15 minutes to get through the entire Bible in a year, logic says it should take me 30 minutes to get through the Bible in 6 months. It should be 30 minutes a day. And it ends up working a little bit. You actually get through the Bible a little bit quicker than what you predict. Especially if you're just consistent every day. What else can I say about that? Yeah, people think it's speed reading and all this stuff. It is not. My average speed of reading is between 275, 300, maybe a little bit faster than normal. But understand this, if I went to a medical textbook, or if I was reading something on learning origami or whatever it is to make little birds out of paper, I couldn't do it. I would, my comprehension and everything, I'd probably be reading like 150 to 200 words per minute. But as you get more familiar with the subject, i.e. Genesis, I'm going to get to where you should be today. Right now, we started on Sunday in the book of Acts, and I'm going to tell you where you should be today and where you should be tomorrow. But for example, Genesis, I find Genesis one of the easier books to read. One, there's no teaching, as in you're not trying to learn doctrine or anything like that. It's history. So we start off with Adam, and we get to Abraham. And then once we get to Abraham, we get a story about Isaac. We get a first-person account of Jacob and then his 12 sons. And then basically from chapter 32 to chapter 50, we focus on Joseph. And it starts to fly real fast. Like you can finish the entire book of Genesis in let's say between 3 and 5 hours. You're done Genesis. So if you are in Numbers or Zechariah, that could actually slow you down, and that could actually make you take a little bit longer to get through the book, because sometimes what happens is you reread the chapter, you reread verses. I'm telling you, don't do it. It's a complicated book, just like Revelation is complicated. Just read it. Don't burden yourself with like writing down names, all this kind of stuff, because again, we're trying to get through the Bible in 30 days. And if you do this every once in a while, your comprehension will start to go up naturally. What else? Okay, let me go back to the questions here. Study partners. So it's if they're on the same page with you and they're like, let's do this together, it's great. But in my experience, it's better to go solo or do it like this kind of a thing where you have people that will help keep you accountable virtually than someone in person. It just that's been my experience. So I find it easier to just go it alone. All right. Let's see what else. What you speak comes to pass. Bake my own bread. Yeah, organic grains. Yeah, there's something about that. If you have processed foods, bread that has enriched white bread, that should be a key indicator right there that that's not good for you. Wonder bread, all this kind of stuff. What do they say? It's got like 16 essential minerals in bread. It's like, it's too much, man. It's too much. Naps are addictive. Yes, for sure. And again, that's your body telling you something as well. Like instead of being sluggish and sloppy all day long, just have a 10-minute nap. Set a timer if you need to, because what could happen is you'll just fall into a deep sleep. And my wife has got mad at me sometimes where she can't believe how fast I fall asleep. I'll just lie down, put my feet up, 5 minutes, I'm done. And then I'm bouncing straight up onto my feet. And she's like, there's no way that anybody could fall asleep that fast. You just finished saying you were exhausted and you closed your eyes for no more than 5 minutes. There's no way. And I'm like, but I'm good. I'm good. There's something about lying down, and I can't prove it scientifically, but it almost feels like all the blood goes rushing back into your head. And then you're alert again. There's something about it. But yeah, naps are good. Let's see. Power nap on the floor. Yeah, there's something about it. And it makes you a little bit uncomfortable so that you don't hit rapid eye movement during the day. You don't want to do that, because I'm telling you, that'll throw you off. If you've ever done that just for fun on a Saturday afternoon, you just go upstairs or go into your bedroom and you have a nap for like an hour. You wake up and you're like, what world am I in? What planet? Like, I feel like somebody just hit me over the head with a hammer. That is a horrible feeling. That's probably why people shy away from naps. But what I told you, lying on your back with your feet up, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Let's see here. What else? What else here? Makes sense. Back in the jungle, people would have to be on the move and take naps, not long slumbers of vulnerability. Exactly. If you go into a deep sleep and you're dreaming about you're being pulled across the desert, and you're like, man, this is so weird. I'm being drugged by my feet, and you wake up and here it's like a tiger nibbling on your toes, eating them one piece at a time. And you're like, oh man, I should have never had a long nap. I should have just had a little cat nap. Maybe that's where the term cat nap came from. Don't know. Let's see here. This isn't normal for you to be live right now. God bless you. Yeah, I'm just doing it for June, where I'm just doing like 20, 30 minutes. You know me, I'm a long talker, but I want to try and give you some nuggets as you're going through the Bible. Can't do naps. They make me draggy. Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like if it goes beyond, I think it's probably beyond 20 minutes, you start feeling a little weird, right? So you could set a timer. My attention span for only 1 minute a day. Let's see. Going to go read. Perfect. What do you say to those who claim that pounding the word in 30 days is like treating the Bible like bad tasting medicine? Well, they don't understand history because people used to read more long time ago. Like if you think like let's just go to like Jewish children, if you will. A lot of them had like the Torah memorized or read by the time they're like 6 or 10 years old. Like they overconsumed the Old Testament. They had to. They were studying all the time, all the time. And if you think about doctors, dentists, when they go to school, they go to school for 4 to 12 years. And if you've ever seen their books, they're huge, they're massive, and they got to get through all this stuff. So if you approach a doctor and say, "Hey man, why are you cramming all this? Why are you trying to read so much?" and all that, they'd look at you like you have a hole in your head because they got to understand everything about the human body, everything. But when it comes to the Bible, we go, "No, no, hey, 30 days, that's you're skimming." It's like, "No, you're skimming. You're skimming when you take 5 to 10 minutes a day out of a 24-hour period." What is that? I don't have a calculator, but let's say, what do you give? You're basically giving 3 to 4 hours a year for God. Maybe somebody can calculate that on a calculator. 10 minutes a day for 365 days. That's 3,650 minutes, which is, I don't know how many hours that is. Maybe somebody can calculate that out. So yeah, I guess it's more than 3 hours a year. But when you think about it, you have the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the creator of the universe that saved us for billions and billions of years into the future. And we're going to argue with people that are telling you to read more of the Bible, not less. And you're going to say, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, you have to stand before God and then explain that to him why you thought it's better to skim the Bible 10 minutes a day and understand God's word. Like it's impossible to understand God's word if you're only giving it 5-10 minutes. You can finish the whole Bible in a year, and I'm not coming after people that take their time, but how much do you actually remember if you're going to Genesis for one chapter or two chapters, and then you go into Proverbs for one or two chapters, and then you go to the Gospel of Matthew for one chapter, and it just happens to be the genealogy? What's gonna stick in 10 minutes? Especially if you're like, this is gonna be a quick 10 minutes because I gotta go do the yard work, or I gotta go boating, or I gotta go back to work, or whatever it is. You need 10 minutes to decompress to get into the frequency of the story that you're reading. So this is why I say 2 hours gets you into that flow state, if you will, to get rid of all the other gunk that's going on, the list of things to do. It takes you about 10-20 minutes to get rid of that stuff. So now you realistically have about an hour and 40 minutes, maybe 90 minutes, because you're now looking at the clock. You're an hour and a half, and you're like, is it 2 hours yet? Is it 2 hours yet? Oh, it's 1 hour and 41 minutes. I got 19 minutes left. I got 17 minutes. I got 15. So really, you're giving God about an hour because you got so much baggage going on throughout your life, throughout your 24-hour day period. So this is, again, why I say block off a 2 hour period of time. And so let's just say it's like at 5 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock in the morning. Once you're done your 2 hours, you're done. Now you have 22 hours to work your derriere off, to serve your family, to help your wife out in the garden, to focus on your children's homework, whatever it is, to read them a Bible story at night, whatever it is, because you've put in your time and now you're available to hear from the Holy Spirit and go, oh, I need to talk to this person. Oh, I need to call this person up. I need to do this, whatever it is, because you're now engaged 100%. But what happens is, let's just say you don't read in the morning and maybe you leave it to the afternoon. It's in your kitchen. You're like, I didn't read this morning, but I'm going to make up for it this afternoon. And you're like driving down the road and you're like, you're not even concentrating anymore. You're like, I gotta find time in my day to read 2 hours. I'm behind. And then 8 o'clock at night comes and you're like, I'm exhausted and I'm supposed to read 2 hours. So I'm going to read from 10 o'clock till midnight, 10 p.m. And you're trying to read and you're like hitting your head on the book and you're like, man, I'll never do this again. I'll never try reading late at night. I should have listened to the Black Swan to get it out of the way in the morning. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I was a nighthawk, but I guess I'm not when it comes to the word. So this is what happens to people. All right, let's see what else is here. Message deleted by end times. Hey, I think, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know if people are spamming or something's going on. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about where you should be because I'm the pace setter. So on Sunday we started in the book of Acts. I am in Genesis right now. I'm on basically I'm chapter 20 in the book of Genesis. So this is, you should be deep into the book of Genesis. When I say deep, I mean like anywhere from chapter 1 to chapter 30. That's where you should be right now. And the goal is to try and get as close as you can to finishing the book of Genesis today. So if you started it in the morning, maybe you read for like a half an hour, 40 minutes, find another hour during the day, and you got to get to about chapter 25, get to that halfway point. And then tomorrow you can finish up Genesis and then you can start Exodus. What we're trying to do for some of these books that are a little bit easier to read, we're trying to get you to finish them in a day. So your goal today is to try and get Genesis done. So again, remember, we have 2 hours and chances are you're not going to get Genesis done in 2 hours. But if you do muscle through and you extend it a little bit and you try and finish or you try and get close, it'll make tomorrow a little bit easier because then we're transitioning into the book of Exodus. So when you get to Exodus, again, Exodus is another heavy one. We're very familiar with the first 20 chapters. Then it kind of gets a little bit heavy because Moses is going through a planogram basically of how the tabernacle's being built with dye, with bars, with pins, lynch pins, tabernacle, like a cloth, all different types of fabric, pillars, gate, like all kinds of stuff. And you're like, I can't remember this because it's all measurements. So this is why I suggest go a little bit heavier today in Genesis to try and get as much as you can. Then tomorrow we're going to be finishing off Genesis and getting into Exodus because that'll take you 2 days, maybe 3 days to get through the book of Exodus. So then so tomorrow, the goal is to at least be starting Exodus tomorrow. And then Saturday, we're going to try and finish up Exodus and get into Leviticus so that by Monday you have Numbers and then Deuteronomy. And Deuteronomy is an easier book, I find, to read because it's just fascinating. It's very interesting. So you might be able to do that in a day and a half. So we're looking at hopefully finishing up the Torah by Monday, Tuesday morning. That's the goal. Because some of the other books like Joshua, you can almost do it in one sitting. And Judges, for sure, you could do in one sitting. So there's a good chance you can get a huge chunk of Joshua done, and then the next day you're finishing up Joshua, and then you're into Judges. Samuel, same thing. You could finish it in one sitting. Second Samuel, same thing. Like in a 2-hour window, you could do it. And then the books get a little bit light, and then once you get to Job, then we're going to switch and go to the New Testament, which is the Gospels, and we'll read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all together, and that'll probably take you realistically 3-4 days to get through all those Gospels. Mark, no problem, one sitting, but Matthew's a little heavy, and so is John. John's a little heavy as well. So, but I'll coach you through it each day. I'll let you know here's where you should be. So don't get lost in everything that I just said, because it even sounds confusing to me. But tomorrow we're finishing up Genesis and we're starting Exodus. So that's your goal. So try and get as much of the book of Genesis done. There's 50 chapters. Should take you about 4 hours to read, depending on how fast or slow you read. And because it's a lovely book to read, sometimes people don't mind spending a little bit extra time in Genesis. And when that happens, take advantage of it, because when you get to books like Isaiah or Ezekiel, you're going to be like, I only got 30 minutes in me, man. My head is full. So in the times where it's easier, we want to read more, so that when we get into the times where it's a little bit tougher, feels like we're going through molasses, that's where we could slow down and just really just take our time and just say, we're just getting through this. So that's the goal. There's books like Psalms. Again, Psalms is a fantastic book. You could do that in one sitting. It takes 3 to 4 hours. You can do it. It is possible to start on Psalms 1 and get through Psalms 150, because it actually feeds you more and more. The more you read it, you're like, oh man, I remember that Psalm. Oh, I remember that. Or I just read this. This is where David was at. Oh, he's fleeing from King Saul. That's why he wrote this. And it becomes interesting. So hopefully this makes sense. This is why we went from Acts to Revelation. It's because we just knocked off 24 books inside 3 days. 24 books. So that pumps you up, because if you go the other way, if you go from Genesis cover to cover, from Genesis to Revelation, you might get stuck 2 or 3 days in one book, and you're like, man, I need some quick wins, because now I got Exodus and then I got Leviticus. You got to condition yourself, and this is why we started with the church and then we finished with Revelation to show what happens in the latter days. And then now we're going to the origins, which is in the book of Genesis. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so yeah, so read Genesis. Try and get as much of Genesis done as possible. Yeah, I'm noticing it's kind of interesting. I have people on here that kind of monitor people's conversations and stuff. And yeah, as soon as you start talking about the Bible, reading it, the trolls come out. It's actually amazing. So thank you, bro. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you squashing those people, punting them and all that stuff. Because on the phone, sometimes it's not as easy to see all the comments. Let's see here. What else is there? Yeah, lots of trolls under the bridge. That tells you that we're onto something. That tells you, like, if you think about it, this is Pride Month right now. June is Pride Month. So you're going to be coming against the enemy because he doesn't want you reading more of the Bible. So what a perfect time to say, I'm going to spend more time than I ever have before in my life in the month of June, because we know we are at war against the principalities, powers, and rulers of the air. The enemy doesn't want you reading the Bible. And this is why trolls show up and they're like, you don't do that. You need to read one verse a day. That should be good enough. One word, meditate on one word for 365 days. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. When you have books, like here's an example here. Look at this. Love Amid the Ashes. I haven't read this book. This is one of my wife's books. Matthew Andrews. This book is 400 pages. Okay? 400 pages, this book. If you were to tell my wife, tell her, I want you to read page 11. Just page 11 for today. And then tomorrow, I want you to read page 12. And if you want, you can actually go to page 13. She would look at me like I was crazy. Nobody does that for books. Instead, when a person buys a book like this, they try and read it as fast as they can. They just do. If they have a long trip on an airplane, they're like, oh man, I need a good book to read because that flight is like 6 hours and I plan to read the entire book on the flight. Nobody gets mad at them. Nobody says, whoa, slow down. You need to read one paragraph at a time for Lord of the Rings so you could absorb it. Like, it's weird. It's a silly thing to say because that's not how our mind works. Our mind works, the more you push it, the more information you put, it actually stretches. It actually, it basically, how do I say this? It prepares yourself for the onslaught the next day. So let's say you push yourself for 2 hours today reading. Tomorrow, or tonight, when you go to sleep, your mind is going to be like, I need to be better prepared tomorrow because this guy's crazy. For some reason, he's reading for 2 hours. So I need a good night's sleep kind of thing. And you're going to wake up tired. You probably sleep, instead of 6 hours, you'll probably sleep 8 or 10 hours because your mind is preparing for the onslaught that you're about to put it under the next day. And this is how we are. If you go work out, you destroy all the microfibers in your arm. You're doing arm curls and you lift heavy. All of a sudden your arm gets so sore. It's because your body is adapting. It's trying to strengthen those muscles so that the next time you go to lift that exact same weight, it's easier for your body. So what do? Well, you have to increase the weight now to destroy more fibers. And then all of a sudden, don't look at my arm. My arms aren't big. But theoretically, your arms get like huge because you're stressing out the microfibers or your muscles, if you will, in your body. You're tearing them and you're causing them to rebuild. So now you got to have more protein, all kinds of stuff. It's the same thing with the word. You are probably most likely destroying something in your mind so that it can process things better the next day. And one of the best ways to do that is to drink lots of water. Again, we're made up of 80+% of water, which means you need to drink more water. More water will solve a little bit of this fogginess as well, just normally. All right. Let's see here. Do not feed the trolls. Let's see. 30-day marathon is less about absorbing the stories and more about turning into the frequency of God. Yeah. I have noticed that. And some things jump out in the word that you're not even reading. Like you'll understand something that maybe you're in the Old Testament. You'll understand something that you read maybe a day or two before. Maybe it's in Romans or First Corinthians. Like, oh, that's what Paul was saying. Like little things will pop up. And when I talk about frequency, that's the easiest way for me to explain it when it comes to reading the word. You know, when you go for a drive, remember the old AM, FM radio days, and you're pulling into a new town and you're like, I wonder what the radio station is. you're turning it, you're tuning it, and it's a little bit staticky, and you're like, oh man, we're not close enough to that town because it's static right now. As you get closer, all of a sudden you turn that dial and you're like, oh yeah, I should be at 960. Oh, there it is. Now we can listen to the sports. We can listen to the Oilers smash the Florida Panthers and win the Stanley Cup. We can do that now. That's kind of what it's like when you're reading the Bible, especially when it comes to a book that you're not familiar with. I'm picking on Leviticus. Leviticus is one of my favorite books of the Bible because I've read it so many times now. But when I first started reading it, it was like sifting through molasses. Like you just drudgery. You're just like, oh man, I can't stay awake, and I'd be drooling all the time. Now I love it. But it's because I'm familiar and I did the homework of looking up words that I didn't understand, all this kind of stuff, so that the second time I go through it, you go through it faster. And the third time, it's because you're now your comprehension has gone up. And think about it. In the last 3 years, I've been through Leviticus 20 times. So instead of the whole book being unfamiliar, you might come across a word or two that's like, oh, that word just jumped out at me. I don't know what that word is. Well, you write it down, and then the next time you come across it, you now understand what that word means. That's what I would do. And this is what I mean by certain books you can actually get through, and other ones you're going to have to tweak the frequency. And like, for example, Isaiah, it might take you the first 10 chapters or so to kind of get in line with what Isaiah is talking about because it's so heavy. It's so heavy. And then it finishes with a bang. Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's done? It's done? And that's how a lot of the books, they start off slow because you're not familiar with the content. But once you start getting it, you start understanding the author and the writer and how he writes, all of a sudden it just takes off. It just ramps up. What else here? Jason, all your former witchcraft users. Let's see here. We're trying to just talk about the Bible and reading it. Yeah, let's see here. Love me some word. I need prayers. To be honest, only book I could read and get into is the Holy Bible. That's funny. Let's see. Even when you read the same verse over and over, and one day you read it and again, bang, total revelation, and your mind is expanded. Exactly. And meditating on the word too is not just looking at a verse and rereading it. Because if you don't have understanding, it doesn't matter how many times you read it, you're still not understanding it. But sometimes what happens is, I call it the law of first mention. It's probably a better way to say it. But basically, when you come across a word and you've never seen it, look for it again in the Bible. So let's say the word soul. I believe the word soul shows up in Genesis when Abraham is leaving his hometown and God told him to go to the land of Canaan. Well, Abraham took his family, back then it was Abram, took Lot, which was his nephew, and took all their family, all their possessions, and all the souls that were with them. I believe that's the first time we see soul. I could be wrong, but I think that's the first time we see soul, the word souls, in the Bible. So now you kind of have an idea, oh, these are people. These are people. And they're with Abraham. So if you see the word soul again, you now have a reference point. And then you just, the more times you see that word, obviously you have a better understanding of it. That's how I approach the Bible. When I see a word and I've never seen this word before, I wait till I see it again. And if you're reading the entire Bible in 30 days, you could come across that word a few times and all of a sudden your comprehension goes up. Let's see here. What else do we have? Favorite book in the Bible for you to read? I do find Genesis quite fascinating. I love Genesis. I also love Exodus as well. Those are my favorites. Romans is pretty good. Corinthians is good. As mentioned, I love Leviticus. I also love going through Joseph's story in Genesis. I also like King David and how everything came about. And then those are though I think those are the stories that we kind of gravitate to a lot. But those are the big ones. So books, Genesis for sure. And I think it's probably because in the past I would always try and get through the Bible in a year, starting with Genesis in January, and by February I was like, I'm done. I'm not reading anymore this year. So I would take 11 months off straight, and then the next year I'd be like, okay, this time I'm going to read Genesis. I think that's probably why. And there's lots of history, there's lots of stuff about Israel for the latter days in Deuteronomy. Moses, before they went into the promised land, said, look, I'm going to die pretty soon, and you guys are going to fall away, and you're going to disregard the Lord, and he's going to scatter you all over the world, but he's going to bring you back. This is Moses talking to the Israelites before they're going into the promised land. So Deuteronomy is also a favorite book, because if you can get a grasp of Deuteronomy, that theme will pop up again and again, even into the New Testament. What else is there? Numbers is hard to this day. Yeah, Numbers is interesting because it's basically walking through getting all the tribes organized and how they actually sort themselves when the tabernacle is going to get packed up and when it's going to get unpacked, and then mixed with a few good stories like conquering giants and all kinds of stuff in there. And there's so many names and families, and I think that's what bogs us down. So if I could encourage you to get through Numbers, is don't try memorizing everyone's name. Chances are most of the names you're not going to see again in the entire Bible. They're there, and they're important to understand a little bit of. I think they even talk about Edom and all the lineage there, all that kind of stuff as well, like Esau's lineage, Ishmael. Like you get basically everything all listed there, all the tribes, their families, and because I think I'd have to look this up again, but I think in the Old Testament there's like 3,000 plus names, and in the New Testament there's less than 1,000 names to learn. And most of them are, we're so familiar with Peter, James, John, Judas, Paul, Barnabas, Silas, all these names. But in the Old Testament, when you see a name once, you're like, yeah, I don't know what to do with that. So I suggest just read it for the purpose of trying to look at it from the perspective of, hey, it was important to list these guys, but that's it. And you just try and find some little golden nuggets that come out of that. And that's it. And you just get through Numbers. Same thing with Chronicles, same idea. Because they're heavy, because there's so many names in it. And I think that's what bogged people down. Think of the Gospel of Matthew. Most people don't like reading the first chapter because it's like from 14 to 14 to 14. You have all these names and you're like, man, I don't remember any of these names, because now it's kind of a Greek style, a little bit different than Hebrew. And so now I'm unfamiliar with that. So they avoid it and they'll go to Mark. Mark, 16 chapters, done. So I think that's what's happening, is too many names. What else is there? So much data to process, 100%. Yeah, Numbers. Call it Numbers for a reason. Hard book, Nehemiah. Yeah, lots of stuff going on there for sure. Lots of names, again, families helping build the walls around Jerusalem, all this kind of stuff. There's lots going on, and we're just unfamiliar with those names because, again, they may not show up again. Lots of repetition of Bible from cover to cover. Yep. You ever been around children? You know you have to tell them over and over for them to learn. God knows we're children spiritually. Lovingly repeats himself, so we get it. Yes, for sure. Nailed by man. Let's see here. What's going on here? And can't stay long. I'll be watching this, listening while getting ready for work. Thanks for doing this. You're welcome. Happy Pride Month. I thought that was something weird. I don't know if End Times is on here. I need symmetry. But it's so weird that people come on a Christian channel and they just start trolling like it's a bizarro world. It really is, you know. Pray for wisdom before reading. You know what's interesting too is God made a promise to Noah. He said, look, I'm putting a rainbow in the clouds so that I will remind myself of my promise to you that I'm not going to destroy the world again because of your pride and all the other stuff, the wickedness. Like men were violent with each other. As soon as they would wake up in the morning, they thought evil thoughts, sleeping with their neighbor's wife, whatever it is, all kinds of crazy stuff, bestiality, angels coming down to know women, like everything was going on, corrupting DNA, all kinds of stuff was going on. And then after the flood, God said, you know what, I'm not going to destroy the world again by a flood, and I'm going to put a rainbow in the sky as a reminder of that promise. And out of all the things that a person could take, a group of people, sodomites, if you will, decided to take a rainbow and use it for their slogan, Pride Day. Like, I find that so bizarre that there is like literally zero respect for God, for his creation, everything, to take something like that it was an emblem to say, I'm not going to destroy you guys anymore, and you're using that as your banner. I would not want to be close on Judgment Day to you, because it's going to be a pretty harsh judgment, like seriously, and you're going to be all alone. So I think that's part of the thing about hell, is everybody that is going to hell is going to be alone. There's no parties, there's no people hanging out together, pride days and all this. You're isolated from God for all eternity because of what you've done in this life. And you're choosing to reject God, and consequently he will say that I've never known you. That's a sad state. And this is, if you want to see the 1 month out of the year that people are going to be the most prideful, is June. More, I know my rights, I have the right to be like this, all this stuff. And then they troll. They go on the YouTube channel, various channels, and they troll people and all this stuff. And it's kind of weird. You know what spirit they are of. Let's see. Yeah, I need more moderators for sure. Let's see here. Can I? Here, look at this. Boom. I just made you a moderator. Boom. There you go. Katie, you're a moderator now. Let's see. Anyone else want to be a moderator? Call in one word. Have a good day, children. Let's see what else is there. Well, I think I can. There we go. Let me find this person. Boom. There you go. Gonzo. See how easy that is? Gonzo. There you go. Okay. Any other questions or anything else? Exhibits weakness and fear. No, it's not so much. It's more distractions. Like, I don't mind if people have a different opinion, but if you come on here to distract people and stuff, then it's like, yeah, you know what? Go somewhere else. So I just ban you. Let's see. What else is there? let's see. Yeah, pretty much. I try to ignore most, but if I have a minute or two, I don't mind punting people. Let's see here. What else do we have? I think that's pretty much it. I don't think anybody has any other questions. So basically, if you're following along with us, even if you're delayed, even if you're starting a little bit later, we started in the book of Acts. You can even start on Sunday. You can say, you know what, I'm going to start 1 week later, and then I'm going to watch these videos in order. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. So we started in the book of Acts, and then we go all the way to the end of Revelation, and then we jump into the book of Genesis, which is where we are today. On Thursday, we are in the book of Genesis. So hopefully this has helped out for you, and I'll see you guys in another video tomorrow. Hope you have a fantastic day. Remember, your homework for today is to get through the book of Genesis as much as humanly possible. And I know you can do it 3 to 4 hours, you're done Genesis. So if you started it this morning, you're already ahead of the game. Just try and get over that halfway point, 3/4 of the way by the end of this evening. If you can finish it, that would be great, because it'll make the rest of the 3 weeks a lot more easier to get through your Bible. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe, challenge other people, challenge them to go through the Bible in 30 days. If they don't know how to do that, send them to my channel. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye for now.